Welcome to the High Chat Podcast. I'm your host, Cewpins. I hope you have a clean piece and a bowl packed ready for today's sesh that was recorded live on my Twitch stream. Don't forget to check out our partners, MJ Arsenal, makers of some excellent mini dab rigs and more. And check out Soft Glass. Their modular silicone glass hybrid pieces are easy to clean and hard to break. Also, check out Grinders for Life. Their Brilliant Cut grinder has 3 different grind plate options, so you can get the exact grind you're looking for. You can save 15% off with code Cewpins at mjarsenal.com, soft.glass, and grindersforlife.com. Enjoy the sesh.
Yay, there we go. Audio. It wouldn't be a stream if something didn't break right away. Like, everything works until it, like, you need it to, like, actually work, and then it breaks. I call it the Millennium Falcon theory.
Yeah, there you go. Streaming is easy, I tell people. I'm never serious.
So easy. So easy, yeah. You just get to play video games all day. But hello, everyone. My name is BizSnes. Not a robot. Very common misconception. Understand that. Just a boy trapped inside of a video game console. You see, as a real boy, I was walking through the woods and I met Death. And Death challenged me to Mortal Kombat. They picked Scorpion, I picked Sub-Zero. And while I'm not very good at video games, so I cheated Death at Mortal Kombat. I unplugged their controller from their port. And they were so mad at me that they trapped me inside of this video game console. And that's why I'm currently a video game console streaming on Twitch. And I also like to get really high.
I love the story. I really do. I've heard it a few times. It's such a classic.
So like, do you have like a pipe loaded up? Can we take a rip together? Would you mind? Like, my silent yet devilishly handsome roommate, he helps me out with that, so I can take a rip with you.
Absolutely. I'm gonna express order one here. There we go. I got that same day Amazon shipping. Yeah, mine's heating up right now. Should be ready in just 20 seconds.
You've always wanted to take a rip with the SNES? Well, get your bowls ready, because this is that chance.
This is your chance. I've gotten high near consoles, but never quite with the console.
With the console, yeah, this is a different experience. You know, it's like getting high with like your best friend that has never been able to talk to you before.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, let me know when you're. I am ready. Yeah, cheers, friends. Oh yeah, that's good.
Oh man, this is classic.
So yeah, thank you for having me on.
Oh, no problem. I like the headphones.
Oh, thanks. Like, I've been a streamer. January will be 9 years I've been doing this whole streaming thing, and I have not changed my headphones. And like, even right before this, I had a different set of headphones on, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go back to the classics. Like, just go with what you know.
I love it. Yeah, I think it's got that nice look to it. I mean, obviously you can't go with something too nice and new on the SNES console.
Right, yeah, I definitely get the hand-me-downs, after they've been well used. Where is the smoke? It has been something that I've been working on. It will be coming shortly. I bought like a photo defogger, and then it was on back order from Amazon, and then they were like, it's delivered, and then it wasn't delivered, so... But I've always wanted to, be able to actually blow smoke out, which is something that's coming, so... But, I do get the munchies when I do smoke. So like, this is what pizza looks like for me. It's Ninja Turtles in time. And so I just it's delicious.
Oh man, that's amazing. Yeah, I think a good excuse to tell that, you just say you ghosted the hit, like you held it within your lungs. It
Yeah,
just
like
you
I
absorbed
just
it.
haven't I haven't exhaled yet. That's how
I
long
don't
I can hold my hits.
I don't waste any smoke. I get it all.
Well, I'm actually the highest streamer on Twitch from an elevation standpoint as well, because I do stream from the moon. This is my moon base that I have set up. So my hemp habitat in the back that keeps roommate situated with like oxygen and stuff like that. And plus, hemp is just
Hmm.
such a robust plant. You can do so much with it other than smoke it, right? So we that takes care of roommate, and then yeah, we can go inside the habitat. If I had a nose, it would smell great in here. But yeah, I wanted to be the highest streamer from an elevation standpoint. So I was like, what's higher than the moon? Like even if somebody's like streamed from like the highest peak on Earth, I'm still higher than them. So
Nah,
yeah,
that's a good point. I've figuratively, metaphorically been to the moon, but
yeah,
you're there.
I am there.
I like it. That's amazing. So you say you've been streaming for 9 years?
9 years. I predate every VTuber by several several generations, and this has been the stream since the very start. So
Nice. That actually is interesting because there is a comparison of VTubers in there too, but like yours is so much cooler for me personally because bro, it's a Super Nintendo. Like,
well, like there was one other person that started just a little bit after me that was a talking cat, and it looked like a Canadian on South Park. And I wanted my stream to be very mystery science theater, and like it started off as a regular Nintendo, and then I looked at a Super Nintendo and I was like, oh, that's a face. And I thought of it as kind of the whole show started off as my roommate on a couch with me, and it was going to be kind of like a Wilson from Castaway situation where like I was roommate's only friend, so I became like anthropomorphic, right? But then just like Twitch came along, and I didn't really want to do YouTube stuff, and like roommate figured out a way to rig it so that I can play video games and talk to you, and that's just kind of how it started, and I've been streaming this way since I started the channel. So
no, I think it's very cool. It's very interesting. I'm always impressed when I see
but
it.
the getting stoned thing actually came because of the likeness to a computer program. Everybody thought it was a computer program at first, and I was just like, I'm not working this hard and doing this physical labor of operating this puppet every stream for a computer to get the credit. So I was like, what can I do to show that it's a physical thing? And putting the pipe in his mouth and lighting it, it's a cool thing, and it's a very visual thing. And then people realize right away, like, oh shit, like this is a real thing that you can interact with instead of I have no slight against VTubers, but I love that I am a physical thing, and that you can go to a convention and hold me, and I can go to a pot store and get a picture with Snoop Dogg and stuff like that, because it's fun. It's a lot of fun to do.
And it's definitely a lot of fun. I think the being at conventions. I don't know how a VTuber would do it. You got to bring like a tablet or hold up a picture. Or
Yeah, I've
something,
seen an
but
iPad. I've seen people use iPads to do it, but yeah, the fact that and that's what the cool thing was about Snoop Dogg. Like, roommate was able to hand me off to him, and the fact that Snoop Dogg started playing with me, and like how I worked, and yeah, so roommate steps up to Snoop Dogg, shakes his hand, and says, like, thank you for the music, I really appreciate everything you've done. And my eyes were blue at that point, and he's like, I don't need anything signed, can I please just get a picture of you with this talking SNES that I stream with? And I say, what up, Snoop? And he just immediately smiles, and he's like, yeah, all right. So, Snoop holds me up with my blue eyes, and roommate steps out of the frame so that they can get the picture. And as they're taking the picture, roommate says, by the way, he gets high on stream. And roommate and Snoop turns it back around. And he's like, he gets high on stream, and he's playing with the wire that controls my mouth a little bit. And roommate switches my eyes from blue to red, and he's like, "Oh well, I gotta get a picture like that," and holds me up again. And I got that second picture with Snoop Dogg, and it's just like, yeah, just moments like that are great.
Nice, just a couple of Twitch streamers hanging out.
Right. Yeah. This was a while ago. Yeah. This was before he even started streaming, believe it or not. That was 8 years ago. So okay. I have been around the block. It's weird to be considered like an OG because like when I started, there were still people that have been doing it so much longer than me. But like, I don't know. I guess a lot of those people have stopped at this point. So yeah. I am considered an OG. I have been around for a while on this platform. I still love it though. So.
Oh, that's awesome. And where was it that you got the pictures with Snoop Dogg?
It was a pot store in Renton, Washington, and yeah, it was the opening of this new pot store, and Snoop Dogg was there signing autographs, and so roommate was especially when I first started, like roommate was shameless with me, like every convention, oh hey Tim Schafer, like please take a picture with this puppet, I got to tour Valve, and like the entire place was like empty because everybody at Valve gets 2 weeks in Hawaii when they work there. But at the very end of the tour, who should come sauntering through the lobby but Gabe Newell? And so like I met Gabe Newell, roommate gave him a business card, and yeah, we talked a little bit about video games. And yeah, so I loved getting to go out and meet people. I'm all about community. I actually helped run a convention for Metal Gear Solid. So I'm all about, connecting people who, find each other online and then bringing them together in person, because I think that's important in life. So
yeah, no, it definitely is. So a lot of conventions, meeting a lot of people.
Yep. PAX, E3. I got to go to the last 2 E3s. Yeah, it was wild.
Nice. What was the most recent one you went to?
I actually just moved from Washington, so I would go to PAX every year. So I got to go to PAX West or PAX Prime, depending on who you ask, this last time, nice. which was it's always a lot of fun. So
nice. Yeah, I don't go to the conventions much, but I do see like on streams or videos or like obviously people take a bunch of pictures. It looks like a cool place. So PAX looks like an interesting one.
Especially like I've been going to TwitchCon since the very, very first one, and like especially when it was so small back in the day, like there's just something so special about meeting people that have something in common with you, right? Like if you're here, you're going to enjoy this thing with the people around you because everybody kind of has the same likes, right? And that's why Metal Gear Solid Con was so awesome, was because it was so specific, right? Like unlike just a retro game convention where you might find 1 or 2 Metal Gear Solid fans, it's like everybody that you talk to is probably going to be obsessed with it at the level you are. And like honestly, without going to conventions, I would not have gotten partnered on Twitch. Like I've been partnered so long that it was like kind of not what you did, but like who you knew and stuff like that. And I mean, I got partnered because of how original my stream was, but that came from meeting the right people at conventions. And yeah, I met the Cyberpunk crew at E3 and stuff like that. So some of my biggest connects I've made in this industry have come from putting myself out there at conventions. So
nice. I think I know there's like a lot of gaming conventions. There's obviously I make 420 friendly content. There's a lot of 420 conventions or cannabis conventions. Have you ever been to one of those specifically?
I mean, every convention for me is a 420 convention. If we're being honest, like, and that's how I found most of my friends at these things, or at music festivals. It's like, oh, who's smoking weed? Like, let's go over there and join the circle and find those people. So, but I've never gone to anything specifically for cannabis.
Yeah, there you go.
But hey, I would happily judge something. Hey, yeah, you need me as a judge for anything? I'll go wherever you want. So
that would be an interesting celebrity guest judge or something. And it's business over here. There's there's gonna be a game console smoking the weed, like testing it out.
No, he's gonna be passing it to his roommate. The roommate will be the one.
There you go.
The surrogate smoker. There you go.
There you go. Siphon it up. So have you been smoking as the whole time you're on Twitch?
Oh yeah. Yeah, anybody who wants to call me a lazy stoner, can watch me operate a puppet while talking to my chat while playing Bloodborne without leveling up my character. I definitely get like that it affects people differently, but like for me, it's like just always. I've been an improv comedian and teacher for about 20 years at this point as well. And it's always funny when people are like, how do you think that fast? And it's just like, yeah, I'm thinking this fast and I'm stoned while doing it. And, it's just, for me, it has been medication. Like when I had so much social anxiety and like, I was a very sick kid. Like I had kidney issues and stuff like that. So performing was my way that I could like be up in front of people and not be judged, right? Because I was considered a liar because I would be sick in the morning and then I would feel better in the afternoon. And because I wasn't a liar, I wouldn't act sick anymore. And, it wasn't until I was about 16 that they found out what was wrong with me. And so like I became very standoffish with people. And it wasn't until like I found a group of people to start smoking weed with that I could like finally engage in like one-on-one conversations again, and like could actually like take compliments from people without thinking that there was something jilted behind it. And so like, I've seen other people, turn drooly on it, and it's like, yeah, maybe you shouldn't be smoking weed and doing these things. But I did a 420, I did a show called The Green Show in Seattle, and the whole premise was, oh, we get stoned and do improv. And for me that was every improv show. So like I was automatically elected the leader because I was just able to handle myself so well while I was stoned. And I've never known really what it is or why it's different, but yeah, I've smoked people under the table. I smoked another Twitch streamer under the table once, which was super awesome because he always got people too drunk. And so I was like, I know that you would get me too wasted, so like I'm gonna bring you to my playing field, right? And got him like, I sent him to the moon that day. But yeah, nice. For me, it's just always been my social lubricant, has taken away that anxiety and has given me like the energy to stream and to do something like this that's a little different.
Nice. And have you, I guess, in the beginning had any issue with showing it on stream, or did you mostly keep it off in the beginning?
I mean, because it's a puppet,
yeah,
what am I doing? So yeah, I can I can take off the creative asshole hat. You want to see a little bit more of the behind the scenes and stuff like that now?
Yeah, I think this is definitely going to be very interesting for the people watching. Yeah, the behind the scenes.
But hello, I'm Joe. I am the roommate. So if the way that I spin it on stream when I stream is that if I sound exactly like BizSnes, it's because we're twin brothers and I just wasn't trapped in a video game console.
There you go.
But yeah, I've started streaming a little bit more as myself just because I recently moved back to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I have all this sweet swag that I was like, you know what, that would be a pretty cool nook to stream behind. But I have the lighting set up for the SNES right now, so everything's like super bright.
Yeah.
John Wick, cool. I appreciate that momentum because I usually at my old job is like, you look like one of two people. It's either Jesus or Charles Manson. It's like, I guess, well, they both had a lot of followers, but
well, John Wick is fun.
But I've never wanted to hide like who I am. Like there's the character stream, but like I've never. A lot of people, especially in the beginning, like really kind of hid behind their characters, and I never wanted to be one of those people that hid. Like I am the Jim Henson behind this puppet. Like I am the person who created this, and I'm not afraid to take off my creative asshole hat and just be a person as well. So.
Yeah, I guess that's something that I wasn't sure of, I guess, before. So I'm glad that you just were able to pull the curtain back for us, as they say.
Yeah,
so
I like showing people kind of how it works because maybe it'll inspire somebody else to do the same thing or realize that it is something that they are capable of doing as well. So I've always like with every character that's come onto Twitch, I've always tried to extend an olive branch because a rising tide raises all boats. That's exactly why I wanted to be on this stream. Like I want to get stoned with other people that make stoner content on Twitch because yeah, it was something that I mean, I've probably, if I was a little bit more family friendly, could have gotten some more opportunities, but I've always wanted to make content for the people like me that are up at this time. And I'm not going to hold any punches. I'm never not going to say motherfucker, like on stream or anything like that. So, just to hide it would be disingenuous. And, with the people that I've smoked with at Twitch, or that used to be at Twitch, I would definitely say that they were okay with it.
That's the way to do it.
Even if they had to be forward facing more like, against it, like I've definitely gotten to smoke some weed with some pretty cool people at that company too. So I'm very, very thankful for my time in and around the Twitch community. I've as much as I have had some interesting times with other character streamers, for the most part, just the communities that I have found and the people that have stuck around are just awesome. So
yeah, but still able to keep it as much of like yourself versus just only a character. You got elements of yourself in there.
Well, I never wanted Twitch to be my end game. I always thought of Twitch as like a launching platform. Like I was actually trained by Twitch in hosting and interviewing to do stuff at conventions, and then they like stripped that program down and like only did TwitchCon and stuff like that. And I've done a pilot for a TV show that unfortunately didn't get picked up. So like it's just all about taking the opportunities, and you just got to keep swinging because there's no sense in giving up. Like everything, like especially at being an improv teacher, the biggest thing I teach people is nothing is a failure if you learn something from it. It's simply a hard lesson learned, and you just got to keep going because the people who did succeed failed more than you can possibly imagine, and it's only because they learn from those failures and can adapt to like any situation that they're put in that they are able to succeed. So
okay. Then no, that's one of the best ways to look at it. I think there's a lot of different ways to approach it. Have you done other like content, I guess, not just Twitch streaming, but have you made like specific short form or long form like videos?
A little bit here and there. I really focus. I was like focusing on Twitch and then like trying to kind of get into that community afterwards, but I'm definitely trying to, especially now that I'm able to make streaming my full-time job again, I'm really trying to make my stream more of a show. So I actually have a physical set of that Moonbase built, and people will be able to hopefully interact with it a little bit more. And I wanted to have kind of that Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou kind of Yellow Submarine vibe where we're getting to explore space and explore the moon a little bit more. So, but I've had an eclectic amount of like I've been a production assistant on documentaries. I was on a horror movie that never actually came out. Just weird stuff in and around the film arena, and then improv was my main focus. So I did a lot of themed improv shows. I was a part of a group called Worst Case Scenario for a long time. So we did like a Star Wars themed improv show and a Quentin Tarantino themed improv show and a rap themed improv show. So for a long time, I was not only like doing the regular improv shows with this company, but I was running a high school league with over 100 students in it because I love teaching as well, and teaching the highest level of adult workshops. So I had one real job as like in retail, Sam Goody, when I was like 16 years old, and ever since I've made my money either doing theater or doing improv and teaching classes or finding ways to entertain people. Being a tour guide, I was a tour guide for a long time in Seattle, which was a lot of fun. But yeah,
What kind of tours?
The first tour was Bill Speidel's Underground Tours, because 22 blocks of downtown Seattle. When you're in downtown, you're not actually standing on the first level sidewalk. You're standing on the second level sidewalk. But because they wanted to raise up everything, they built the buildings and then they raised up the streets. And so everybody covered up their first level sidewalks. And so there's a story that wraps around 22 blocks. Each block has an individual, like, essentially first floor that people can get to. A lot of them have been closed off, but some of them have been kept open for historical reasons. And then my last job that I had for the last year before I moved back to Milwaukee was I worked at Climate Pledge Arena, which is where the Seattle Kraken, the hockey team, play. And by the name Climate Pledge Arena, it's all about sustainability. There's no waste in the arena. It's a fully green arena. So like every wrapper for everything goes into the recycling bin instead of into the garbage. There's not a single plastic bottle, in the building that people can buy. They get their power from solar panels. The ice, they actually use rainwater. They have a big cistern buried, and so they capture rainwater, and that's the water they use to create the NHL ice. And so it was just, I love hockey. And so it was really cool getting to like work around the arena. I used to do just the regular like backstage stage crew for major concerts. So I just, like I said, entertainment life. I like being around that stuff. And so it seemed like a cool place to work. They needed tour guides. And, as much as I love Twitch, I felt like I was kind of begging some months, like to make my rent. And so I just wanted something to balance it out so that it would be fun again. And it could be the entertainment that I wanted it to be instead of a grind, because it really can be a grind when you're trying to make it your full-time thing. So,
yeah. So I guess you were saying that you basically worked as a stagehand, essentially doing some backhand at an arena.
Oh yeah. I literally went to a school called Milwaukee High School of the Arts. Like, I got so lucky in life. Like, you had to audition to get into my school, and there were like my graduating class was like maybe 100 kids. Like there were 400 kids in the school in total, and it was the melting pot that we were all promised. Like everybody getting together to celebrate various cultures and art forms, and like I got to like. And I, of course I went into the performance stuff, but then I really got into the technical side of it because my teacher was just so fucking cool. We just called him Ralph, and he like burned me Susie and the Banshees CDs and the Smiths, and like got me into, English, like new wave music and stuff. And I just learned so much more about theater from him. And I've always loved building things and creating things. And so like building sets and doing lighting design is always something that has really interested me. And so after high school, I was like, well, what can I do for a job? So I worked at the local arena here, setting up for, I've set up for the biggest names in rock and roll. I sat on Paul McCartney's couch once. It was awesome because I got to set up Paul McCartney's dressing room one day. And I was like, well, I'm never going to be able to do this again. And I sat down on his couch. And then the woman that I was working with, her name was Sandy, and she talked like this and smoked cigarettes. It was like, I need you to get off that couch. I need to keep it as clean as possible. But yeah, like Aerosmith, the Rolling Stones. I've done a little bit of everything. I've been Ronald McDonald's assistant. I've been a photographer's assistant. I have just ran the gambit of weird jobs.
No, I feel you on that. There's a lot of them out there. A lot of weird jobs. Did you want to show us how the puppet works? Like,
yeah, I can show you how the puppet works. Maybe I can show you. I recently tried to redo all of my wires. I can at least tell you how the puppet works. Let's see if I switch back. I don't want you to mess anything up. Oh no, it'll be fine. But
we might have a future puppeteer in the chat, or somebody watching.
You're gonna see my Ninja Turtle sock. I hope that is okay, because I can't stream with my shoes on, or I can't do it with my shoes on like some drummers. So obviously, the first game, I'll preface this by saying the first game I played on stream was Chrono Trigger, and I hadn't figured out how to get the puppet to work. So I literally moved the wire, because it's just a wire glued to the slot of the actual Super Nintendo, and it's just the regular spring. You are all flattering me with the John Wick comments, by the way. Like, you have no idea. Like, you're just stroking my ego when I think I look terrible most of the time. So thank you. I appreciate that. But so I hadn't figured out exactly how to make the puppet work. So I literally, it's just hot glued in there, and and it just uses the natural spring in the Super Nintendo. And so I hadn't figured it out. So I literally mapped all of the controls to Chrono Trigger to the right hand or to the left hand side of an Xbox controller via an emulator, and so I could just play Chrono Trigger with this hand because it's an RPG, so it's like pretty simple. It's all turn-based stuff, so it's pretty easy. And then I would literally sit there pulling the wire like this. And you talk about worrying about getting stoned on stream. So after that, I was like, I can't do that because I tried to play Super Mario RPG, and with the timings in that game, it just became fucking impossible trying the left brain, right brain thing. Like I'm not that good. And so I was like, well, what can I do? And then I was like, oh, like, of course, Mystery Science Theater. And so that's when I decided to start like finding the old VHS tapes that like Nintendo sent out. With Nintendo Power magazines. Like there was a Star Fox video and like a Banjo-Kazooie video with like John Lovitz doing the voiceover for it. And so I was like, oh, I can just like watch these and do Mystery Science Theater over them. And that was actually the biggest issue that I ever had on Twitch. And I actually got banned on Christmas for watching a Dr. Phil clip on video game addiction. And the reason I got banned was for streaming under Super Mario 64, because I wasn't actually streaming Super Mario 64 because there was no just chatting category. There wasn't like a retro category. Like you weren't allowed to watch videos. And so like I literally had all sorts of tricks. Like there's a game called The Darkness, and believe it or not, inside the game there's like 5 or 6 television channels, and each one of them has like 4 or 5 hours worth of movies. There's like Sony Chiba's Street Fighter, Son of Street Fighter, To Kill a Mockingbird, like an entire arc of Flash Gordon that you can just like watch inside of the video game. So I would literally like blow that up and like watch those movies inside of the game. And then like every once in a while I'd like go to the blown out one and be like, oh I'm playing a video game. Like, see, look, it's The Darkness, and I move around a little bit just because it was so against the rules. But long way of getting to how the puppet works, how I figured out like how can I use both hands to play a video game is a drum pedal. I was just like, I can tap my foot and make it work. So I used a Rock Band foot pedal. So it's literally just a wire that, hang on, I'll turn off the chroma keys because that'll probably help you see things real quick here. Uno momento. See, yep, I just have a regular, it's literally a $1 piece of green cardboard behind me. That is my green screen and has always been my green screen. But yeah, it's just a foot pedal.
Nice sock. Let's go.
Yeah. So it runs, the wire just runs directly out of the puppet, which you can't really see. And then I tap my foot, and I have done that for 9 years on Twitch.
Yeah.
So I love it. I grew up watching Muppets and Mystery Science Theater and all. Wow, that's a look right there. Yeah. Do not adjust your sets. But yeah, I grew up loving the Muppets and Mystery Science Theater and really wanted to embody that with what I did on Twitch. So I'm going to be branching off into YouTube content and stuff finally. Like the whole idea that Death is going to challenge me to his bucket list of video games, and if I complete all the games, I might win a rematch against him is going to be something that happens. And yeah, I want to be able to like have it where essentially random events happen in my stream. So like maybe we discover a new creature that people get to name and things like that. And just, I want people to be able to explore a little bit of, kind of this world that I'm creating. Cause I don't want it to, I've never wanted to just play video games. Like I love creating stuff. I love building the puppet. I love building the moon base. Even more than I like using it. So I've always liked being behind the camera more than being in front of the camera. So
No, that makes sense. There's definitely a lot of ways to do that, and I think you talk about different kinds of YouTube content. There's so much you could do that as a puppet. It's just more interesting. Like video game news, I would rather hear it from a Super Nintendo. Like, who knows
the biz
better?
was, believe it or not, that is so I wasn't going to be the SNES. Like, it was going to be me on the couch with the SNES, and the one clip that I have recorded of somebody else as the voice of SNES was the original show idea was The Biz with SNES, and it was kind of like a joke show about video game news, like The Daily Show. So,
Yeah.
so yeah,
No.
absolutely. So I'm glad that it's nice to hear you, because these are all ideas that like have been spinning in my head for a very long time, that it's like, I need to actually like buckle down and do this. But yeah, life comes at you fast. And I finally have the time to really focus on some of those ideas, and it's hard to do it by yourself as well. Because like, as much as I am okay with Photoshop and stuff like that and editing, like I can't do After Effects work. And it's like, if I could do that, it would be great. But like, I have already crammed like so many skills into my fucking head that like After Effects right now is just like not something that I can like, I just can't devote the time to as much as I would love to, So
Yeah, I can only do the basics when it comes to video editing. Like I gave up on trying to learn all the fancy tricks, and I don't need it to deliver most of my content. So if I need something extra done or something fancy, that's usually when I talk to somebody else. But
right, and like there's like that I want to do it myself kind of thing. Like, no, I can do this myself, but it's like, I can. It's just going to take me like, 20 to 50 extra hours to like get to the point where it's like I could figure out how all this stuff works. But yeah, it's fun for me. The fun is figuring that out, right? It is figuring out how to make all of those elements and stuff like that work together. Like I said, I've always been that behind the scenes person. Like, I've always been, I see things in people. That's why I've always liked being a teacher as well, because I'll take those students that people are like, oh, this person's super quiet, they're super hard to work with, and it's just like, not everybody learns the same way. And it's like, if you figure out how to get people interested, it's incredible what they can accomplish. And you just can't write anybody off. And that's just the long and short of it. You just have to keep working at it, because it was amazing how many times teachers would be like, how did you get this kid to act this way? And it's like, I let this kid be the kid that he wanted to be, and like show that people will support him in his ideas. And that support, especially when you're a teenager, it goes a long way.
Yeah, definitely, because I mean, there's so many different ways to learn, and to think that everybody can learn in the same way is crazy. That's why I've never understood like a class with 30 something kids all trying to learn the same lesson. Like, I
That's why the arts high school was so perfect. Like, did I give a fuck about math? No. But like, all of a sudden I'm having to make a door frame, and like fractions of an inch like are important, because if they're not right, like, it looks like shit. So it's like, when you can find ways to apply learning to things instead of just being like, learn this, like, people will learn. Some people will learn fractions through 4/4 timings in music, or figuring out a half step up or a half step down. But it's like, it becomes so much more enjoyable to learn. Yeah, right. It becomes so much more enjoyable. It becomes so much more enjoyable when it's not just, hey, regurgitate this shit out of a book. Like, no, you have to actually apply it to something that you want to apply it to, whether it's catapulting an egg or throwing something off a building. Like, those are the lessons that always stick with people, because instead of just trying to get it through like a book, like, you can see a visual. I've always been a visual learner. It's like, don't make me read a book and try to do this. Show it to me. Just show it to me once so I can emulate it, and then talk me through it. And then if I need to, I'll go back and read it, because then I can visualize the right way to do it, because I've seen it done. But like, don't tell me to like read something and then do it and then expect it to be done right, because that's not how I learn. And there's the great Einstein quote, like, if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it'll live its entire life thinking it's stupid. And yeah, and that's the thing with improv. Like, everybody thinks that they need to be the funniest person on stage, and like, the way that I got my shows was not being the funniest person. I got it by being that audience, right? By being the Luke Skywalker, by being the person that's the audience that is reacting to the wonder and the things around them in a grounded way, instead of just being goofy with everybody, right? And so it's like, not everybody has to be the funniest person in a scene. You need some people to just be the grounded person, and if
keep it going, and
right,
keep the
and
flow in there. You don't always
everybody
need to have the
thinks
punchline, but the setups need to come for a lot of things.
the setup is so much more important than the punchline, right? And
Mhm.
like, if you have a good group of people that are, and that's why it's so weird, because I would teach other, like, every year all of the other improv companies would come together in a different city and learn games together, and I would always teach classes on how to do games with volunteers, because I think volunteer games are great, and everybody else hated doing volunteer games because they said that it makes improv look easy. And it's like, that was such a like backwards way of thinking, because improv should be easy, and it should be a skill that everybody has, because at the end of the day, I think of it as good critical thinking skills. It's that yes, and it's a more positive outlook on life. It's about trying to find the positives in life instead of focusing on the negatives. Like, and you can still address negatives. And I always use the example of rock climbing. Like, you'll go to somebody and be really excited, like, oh, I really want to try rock climbing, and you have this great idea that you're excited about. Somebody always comes back with a negative on it, right? Well, isn't that going to be dangerous? It's like, well, no shit. Of course it's going to be dangerous.
You could fall.
Right. You can yes and it instead and be like, oh, that's cool. Like, when I ride mountain bikes, I use this kind of helmet. What kind of helmet are you going to buy? You've addressed that, like, there's safety concerns, but you're still pushing it forward in a way that keeps the person excited about what they're talking about instead of knocking them down. And I think that's a skill that everyone should have. So, like, when it comes to volunteers, like, yeah, bring people up on stage, like, invite them to do this, because everyone is smarter than they think they are, and everyone is funnier than they think they are. And it's not until they're given the chance and the support to prove it that they know that. And sometimes all they need is that little bit of support to believe in themselves. And it was so cool, because I would do 4 or 5 of these shows a day sometimes, and like, so I would forget things, but I would have people coming up to me years later and tell me how much doing that one game, like, changed their outlook on life, or they decided to take a class, and like, or they just became more open because of it. And that's why I love teaching improv, was because it freed people of that mindset that, like, no, you have to act this way, no, I'm not funny, no, I'm not confident, because you just need to find that confidence, because it's beaten out of you as a teenager.
Yeah. I wonder if there's a way to do like live improv teaching on Twitch, or figure
I've
out
done
a
it.
way.
I've done several classes, both in person and online, especially during the pandemic, for people on Twitch, and
There you
especially
go.
with like this guest star thing. And when they finally combine chats, like, being able to share focus is a skill, and being able to listen to the person that you're currently with, especially us as streamers, we're like so scared for dead air now that, like, we need to kind of realign how we talk in conversations and how we let things breathe so that the other person can get a word in, right?
Yeah. No, I definitely feel you on that, and I think if you ever do any kind of group improv or something with stream together, let me know. Hit me up. I don't know.
It's one of those things I've thought about. Like, the improv company that I used to do stuff with, we're not on good terms anymore. But it's like, yeah, I tried very hard to, like, bring them into this space, because I definitely think there is a space for it. But it's one of those things that I've always loved, and I still love teaching it. But, like, doing it and stuff like that now is always something that, like, I don't want to be known as an improv guy again. Right, like, because because it was something that, like, I felt I needed to move past in my life. Like, it's a good tool to have, and I will still teach it, but, like, making it a show the way that I made it a show before, I'm just not sure. Like, how I would go about it. So
No, that definitely makes sense. You don't want to get locked into a certain thing because some things are so specific, and then people will only show up for that. Play this game, do that one thing you did that I saw you do, or
oh God, I mean, I remember being a variety streamer, especially like in the early days of Twitch, was such like a death sentence. Like I was told by several people, you should just play one game and bank off that audience until you get partnered, and then you can do whatever you want. And I was like, that seems like a really good way to like abandon an audience. You know, like that seems like a really rude thing to do, you know.
and hate
like
that one game too.
yeah, you know, and so and yeah, I just my brain doesn't work that way. Like this is supposed to be fun, and like the main reason I love video games is because there is such a wide variety of them. And I don't want to be playing like that sounds like work to me, playing the same game six, you know, I think 4 hours is like the magical stream time. I don't think anybody should try to be entertaining longer than a Lord of the Rings movie. You know, we are not coal miners.
It's hard to do.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Like we need like our time. It should feel special when you're on, right? It should feel like something. And you know, the improv shows when they were at their smaller venue were sold out every weekend, and then they moved into the 250 seat theater, and they very rarely sold out shows again because it, you know, it wasn't that special thing. You didn't have to plan in advance because you knew that it was limited. Like you know, like I've always been a quality over quantity kind of person. Law of diminishing returns.
Yeah, there you go. Quality over quantity is a very interesting conversation, I guess, in a lot of regards, because I like to have it. There's always that balance of, well, how much better is the quality? Like,
right. Well, and then like, you know, all of my friends have always been the kind of people that can just play a video game for 8 hours a day, and like I max out at about like 3 hours before my brain starts being like, all right, like you need to go like do something else for a while now, you know. So like I just it tops out for me. So
there's some games where I can definitely go for longer than others. Most games, yeah, like you said, that 3 hour mark is like, geez, what else can I do? Like, I don't need to play this anymore.
If it's something new, like, or yeah, like The Witcher 3, like, my God, I have put way too many hours into The Witcher 3.
Yeah.
But it is not tobacco. It is simply a one-hitter because it quells my quantity of Dude, being back in a place where it's decriminalized but not legal is like the worst. After living in Seattle for 7 years, like, this is the worst fucking shit ever. Like, not being able, like, oh, I'm out of weed, like I can't just go to a store and buy more weed.
Yeah,
like this is silly. Like I took it for granted for so long.
That's one thing I hope I never have to experience, is the having a worse condition. I moved from Colorado to Florida, but I could still go into a dispensary and get stuff. So I'm like, all right, I'm good. There's not as much stuff and it's not as good, but I could still get it.
It's apparently like the they can sell like the THCA stuff in stores out here now, but like it's like $40 for an eighth, and it's just like, no, I'm good on that.
Yeah.
So
some people have really expensive stuff on that, yeah.
And yeah, the closest state is Illinois, which has the worst prices in the country currently as far as weed. So it's like, yeah, not going there. Like a bunch of my friends have like phone numbers with these places, and I'm like, as somebody who's like going across the border to buy this stuff, I'm not sure how good of a idea it is to have like a record of every time you've decided to go and grab some weed from across the border. So
I smoked it all right before I crossed the border back. I was fine. I smoked it all there, and then I came home.
Well, you know, I live in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, which the first thing that comes into people's head with Milwaukee is beer, and I have never been much of a drinker. Beer, cheese, or
there we go.
Yeah,
I was like cheese. I never thought about beer once. I get stuck on cheese.
like, I mean, the main reason I moved away in the first place was because like so much of this culture revolves around drinking, you know, like everything, like bars are just everywhere, and like there's really not a whole lot to do that isn't a bar here. And there's this thing called the Tavern League, which closes, every liquor store here closes at 9 p.m. Can't buy liquor after 9 p.m. because they want you to be in bars drinking. And they like, it's been on the ballot, and like overwhelmingly the state's like, please legalize weed. And there's still just very little forward momentum in it, like actually happening. So
damn. Think of all the infused cheese we could come up with.
Oh, I mean, we've got some of the best in the world, so it'll be great. And I mean, Wisconsin is one of the biggest ginseng growers in the world. And so if our soil is good for ginseng, that means that it's going to be incredible for weed too. So, yeah, I mean, if there's one thing, yeah, we Wisconsinites know how to do, it's farm. So, yeah, we've actually, I'm actually in a family of stoners. And so like my parents and I have actually been looking at land in places in Wisconsin. So
yeah, okay, there you go.
because like it will happen, and it's got to happen eventually, and like it'd be nice to be in on the ground floor of that stuff. So, but yeah, I mean, I haven't had a drink in. There was one TwitchCon where I proposed to my now ex-fiance, and I had 3 shots, and I got so sick that I missed the first day at TwitchCon, and I was like, you know what, I never need to drink again. Like,
that's rough.
So yeah, I mean, I had really bad kidney problems. That was the issue, you know, that I was talking about earlier. As a kid, like my kidney was growing the wrong way and the wrong shape. So like I was sick for so long, and it wasn't until I was like 16 years old and like had to go to the emergency room after like my pediatrician was like, "What, was there a test today? Like, drink water, you'll be fine." And they finally figured it out. But yeah, for like the first 16 years of my life, I had this just horrible kidney issue that like just kept me sick like for weeks at a time sometimes, and it sucked. And yeah, no fun, let me tell you.
Yeah, no, it doesn't sound
so
fun.
it's like maybe drinking is like the best thing for my kidney. So
yeah. And I don't know, maybe like smoking could help in a way, or help with some of the symptoms. I don't know, maybe. Like
I said, it's always, for me, it got rid of my anxiety. Like having a one-on-one conversation like this, like I could get up in front of 800 people and act like a chicken if I needed to, you know, could act like a pirate. I could do any of that, but like having a conversation like this would terrify me 100 times more than doing anything on stage, just because I felt like I didn't know how to act. I felt like every conversation just eventually careened off a cliff and like exploded. And then like I went to South by Southwest with my friend, and I was getting stoned with him, and like we went around and like talked to some people, and I could not believe how much more comfortable I was. And like from then on out, it was just like, this has always helped me. You know, I've always just enjoyed being a social stoner. I don't care if everybody thinks I'm stoned or knows I'm stoned. Usually they don't, clearly. Because yeah, I've done these improv shows and stuff like that, but yeah, it's just something that I've enjoyed.
No, for sure. I think for a lot of people, they find out they're just more comfortable in a lot of situations when they're high, and it helps me get through a longer stream and stay chatty, because I think when I'm not high, I just get more locked in thought. I don't know. Some people it might be the opposite, but I guess it depends on the mood. It really depends on the person too. Yeah, it depends on the person.
You know, I've smoked with every kind of person, you know, and I've actually had people pass out smoking weed with me before, which is funny.
You gotta sleep eventually.
You're right. Yeah, just prefer you not at the top of the stairs, but you know, yeah, it affects every. You know, there's a great Hunter. I love Hunter S. Thompson. I've always loved journalism journalism and stuff like that. And it's weird because everybody thinks that like, oh, Hunter S. Thompson gets you into drugs. It's like, no, actually Hunter S. Thompson was like the one who like made me aware of like American politics and journalism and being a part of the story. And I just completely lost my train of thought on where I was going. Oh, the quote is, I've never recommended drugs or alcohol, but they've always worked for me. And that's the thing. It's just like, I'm never going to be like, oh, like fucking smoke weed with me. Like I'm never going to force anybody to do it if they don't want to. But yeah, I love smoking weed with people.
No, I definitely enjoy. Do you have a time recently where you've been maybe a little higher than usual? Is it hard to get stuff in Wisconsin?
No, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I've been stoned for like the last 7 years straight. I feel at this point, like I pretty much I get up and I'm stoned. God, the last time I felt really, really stoned. No, there's no good story I have for this right now. I honestly can't think of like, oh no, I had a wax pen. I had like a pen that I could put like just like dabs in. And my friend, like his wife was a buyer for a place in Seattle. And so he would just give me all this stuff. And I got to go to the Cure concert and I was hitting this wax pen. And yeah, that sent me through the roof. It was awesome.
Went to see the Cure. How was that?
It was my 4th time seeing them, and it's always, I am such a huge concert head. It's just always wonderful. I'll cry during certain songs and stuff like that. So it was actually at the arena that I worked with, so they moved me up as well. So that was nice, but I actually have been front row for a Cure show before. They are my favorite. They are one of my favorite bands. So
I'll listen to them a lot. It's one of my favorite, I guess I'd say 80s bands that I listen to. But
yeah, the first time I saw them, it was the Cure and Interpol, and those are like 2 of my absolute favorite bands of all time. So that was a glorious show. I got the tickets for $5 under face value because they were considered obstructed view tickets. And they were pit tickets, and it was like literally me, person right here, barrier, and then Robert Smith's microphone was off center, so his microphone was like directly in front of us. I could see the fret markers on his guitar, and they were the phases of the moon, which was absolutely incredible. Cool. But my favorite being stoned at a concert story is I thankfully got to see Tom Petty in all of his glory, and my friend had just gotten back from Denver, and it was my first like official pot sucker, like a pot sucker from a store. And I had it under my tongue because it's like, oh, more receptors are under your tongue and whatever. And I can't remember what song was on, but I was like literally looking at the stage and I could just feel myself like floating off of the ground and like be like just floating out of my seat. And it was literally like that cartoon moment where you're like, oh shit, am I like in the air? And you like look down and you see that you're like above the ground and you just immediately like whoop, come down. And it was like one of the coolest like waking feelings I've ever had while stoned. I will never forget that moment. It was delightful.
That sounds very awesome. At a concert too. I mean, yeah. I don't do a lot of concerts, but it sounds like you've seen some interesting ones. Do you have a favorite? Maybe the Cure one was your favorite, but do you have a? Yeah,
the Cure was absolutely up there. The Tom Petty one was up there. There's a band called Pretty Girls Make Graves. They're actually playing that When You Were Young Fest. It's the first time that they've played a show in 17 years. And yeah, I'm really excited to see them again. Cool. God, yeah. Now, Death Cab for Cutie. I love seeing Death Cab for Cutie. I've seen them 17 times live. Alkaline Trio. I've seen way too many times live.
17.
17, yeah, and I'll be seeing them again with the Postal Service this next coming year. That's my big concert of the next year. Holy shit! Somebody else remembers Pretty Girls Make Graves. Sames, because like I post about them on Twitter, and people are like, I don't know who they are, but yeah,
sounds cool.
Yeah,
cool.
just female singer. Just I love a female-led band, and she just fucking rules. Like she has just such an amazing voice. I love her to death. I've gotten to see the Lawrence Arms. I got to go on the Weezer cruise, which was absolutely ridiculous. I watched Dinosaur Jr. from a hot tub on that cruise, which was absolutely ridiculous because one of my exes managed a band called Free Energy, and they were on the cruise as well. So that was really, really cool. But yeah, I would go out of my way to see if there was a band that I liked. I would go out of my way to see them for sure for a very long time. And now concerts are incredibly fucking expensive, so.
No, they are. You said a Weezer cruise? It's a
Weezer cruise, yeah.
Cruise?
From Miami to Cozumel, Mexico. They played the Blue album on the deck of the cruise ship to welcome everybody. And then it was the 10th anniversary of Pinkerton, so they played Pinkerton 2 nights in the theater. And then it was a music festival on water, so just a ton of other bands were there, like Dinosaur Jr., the Free Energy band. There was a band called Yuck that I ended up buying their record because I really liked them. It was really cool. And then I got to go like horseback riding through like ruins in Mexico and stuff like that, which was really, really cool. I went to Governor's Ball in New York, and that's actually where we were waiting for Julian Casablanca and the Voids. And one of my friends that I actually had in New York, we met through an Interpol group on Facebook, like, because I was always about meeting people like through like music forums and stuff like that. There are still people that I like that are my friends that I met through like the Alkaline Trio forum back in the day. And, so it's like I would always meet up with people when I would go places. And there was just this girl named Karen who was just absolutely beautiful. And she was my weed plug in New York. And so she had finally met up with me to give me weed, and she was with her friend. And so like we're waiting for this band to start, and we're all smoking in a circle. And it's like my first time smoking weed in like a couple days. So I'm just like, let's go. And all of a sudden, her friend just like passes out in the middle of the crowd. So like, I've immediately got a circle around him, and like I've gone over to get security, and like, he was dehydrated and stuff like that. And like, yeah, thankfully he was all right. But like, I'll never forget my friend like Karen getting pulled over the barricade, and I'm just like, bye. Like,
dang, collapse from being dehydrated.
Right. And then once again, that was one of those moments where people were like, you acted so quickly, like, oh my God. And it's just like, dude, I like just smoked so much weed. Like, what were you gonna do in this situation? Like, I fucking acted. Like,
well, so. You gotta do something. That's crazy.
That was really cool.
Did he just smoke with you?
Yeah, he was smoking with me and being dehydrated because, they had been there all day, being in the sun like that. You got to stay hydrated
I always say that smoking tests
like that.
your hydration. If you're not well hydrated, it's gonna be a little bit taxing when you take a big rip or any kind of smoke hit. Like, that's actually, I don't know. That's wild because after that rip or after whatever he hit, he's probably extra thirsty because.
There's nothing worse than having like that cotton mouth in a crowd, like even without like smoking, and you've like been moshing for a while, and then you're like, oh my God, like I need some water right now or I'm going to die.
Yeah, I feel like that just from smoking alone. Sitting in a chair in like my air condition, you know what I mean? Like I'll be at my house just smoking, and I'll feel like, oh my God, I need water this second from just like a hit. So outside at an event, I don't go places without water because
you gotta.
I need it. I need it.
Yeah, especially I found that out like after working at this arena downtown because I would like get stoned at the bus stop because I like had an absurd. I hated my fucking commute. That was like the worst thing about the job, and part of the reason why I'm back in Milwaukee was because I was just like, as much as I like doing the job, I was like commuting like close to 2 hours one way sometimes, and a good chunk of that wasn't even on the bus. It was like waiting for buses, and then it's like I would be waiting for this bus after work, and I was like, fuck, my mouth is so dry. So it's like I always started like having that water bottle just because like you're tired, like especially like after my, because not only did I do tours, but I like worked the events and stuff like that too, and like I would just put on miles, every shift because I would be going from one end of that arena to the other. And so it's like afterwards, it's like you don't realize how much more your body needs water until you take a hit and you're like, oh my God, please, like I'm gonna suck on this pebble because I like my mouth is so dry right now.
Oh man. Yeah, I have the old saying, "Sip before you rip," and it's just part about being hydrated when you smoke. Because if you're doing a lot of smoking, you're gonna need some water. So I definitely understand that.
Yeah, especially if
Sucking
you're
on a
like
pebble.
doing an extended amount of talking too. It's just like it
There
dries
you
out
go.
fast.
That adds to it. It's another level. Yeah, smoke going in and out. I think I do mostly flower vapor now, and it doesn't seem to be as bad. But it's I don't know. It's still like water is required, whether it's concentrate vapor or like a weed pen or a dab pen, anything like that. It's required.
It's just better.
This is a PSA.
Yeah, the more you know.
Yeah. There you go. So you got the one hitter there. You smoking on anything special, anything fancy?
I don't
just
even
whatever
ask. Like it's hey, whatever my guy gets me, I'll take it.
I'm
Like
at the same at the store. I don't ask. I just give me whatever. Just give me some of the weed. And,
well, yeah,
I'll be outta
and
here.
yeah, the indica sativa thing. Like I've never like
It's a scam.
like I was total man. Like yeah. There's like one or two strains where it's like, oh damn, like I feel like energized. But like as far as like, oh yeah, this is like straight up an indica. Like this is gonna knock you on your ass. It's like yeah, no, it didn't.
Yeah.
Like it's just like like I feel high now, and like my main level of high is like I'm gonna go like be a puppet and do all this stuff, anyways. Like
Mhm.
I am motivated to do stuff now. So
Yeah, it's really weird. People think it's like, there's so many different kinds of highs. Like I'm gonna get 1,000 different kinds of highs, like Pokemon or something. But it's like there's like a few. There's like water type and fire type and
yeah, like every once in a while you can get something
Yeah.
where you're like, oh man, like I am in the couch. But like yeah, it's so few and far between is like how they hype this shit up or like how they decide to tell you like how it works. It's like yeah, dude, I'm like just get me fucking high, dude.
Don't tell me the story. I don't need this part.
Well, and like
This is how
I've really
you're gonna
tried.
feel.
Like I'll have pens like when I was going to work because it didn't smell as bad. Like I would use pens in that way, but like if I'm just like recreational smoking, I just want to be smoking flower. Like I want my flower. I don't need like the extra chemicals of the vape stuff or whatever the coil is like, or how it's good. Like some of them are just gonna get stuck. Like I can fuck up rolling a joint, but like there's nothing worse than like getting a brand new pen and like taking 3 hits and then like it starts oozing out or like doesn't hit right and stuff like that. But I would just always much rather, I prefer my high to be flower rather than edibles or vape. So, and then yeah, the one hitter is simply because it burns way less, and it like just because I mean I was smoking an ounce a week in Seattle, and I don't have the funds to do that here. So just to keep my smoking at least down a little bit and less like burning up in the bowl, the one hitter is like always the way to go. So
Yeah, there's a lot of people that do that just for the moderation effect on it. Like I can't overdo it. I can't hit too much.
right,
One
I'd
hit at
love
a
to
time.
smoke a bong, yeah, every single time, but I know that the bong is gonna like kill my weed supply 3 times faster than using this little guy. So an ounce a week, yeah. I mean, like I said, I am a high functioning stoner, and it's like, yeah, anybody who wants to to say that I'm lazy or anything like that can literally watch me operate a puppet while interacting with my chat better than a lot of Twitch streamers, honestly, to toot my own horn, and then play Bloodborne. Like I love playing hard ass video games, especially some of the older retro games. Now, like I was scared to play those games at first. Now I fucking like welcome the challenge. So
No, I tell my chat to shut up when I'm playing the hard games. Like, you guys are gonna distract me. I gotta focus on this. One's a difficult one, bro. This boss is tough. Just don't say nothing. I gotta focus.
So and that's like the main reason that I picked Twitch over YouTube is that, like, especially with the improv shows that I did, and like even if most of them hated volunteers, every single one of them would get suggestions from the audience. And once you've invited the audience to be a part of the show, they become more invested in it, and I want them to feel like they're smart and like they're having a cool impact on the show, because they should, because I truly think that nothing that I can do is as good as what we can do. Like I never want to do anything solo. Like I want to do everything as a team. I am 100% a team player, a rising tide raises all boats kind of mentality. Like it's just doing this, having one other person to play off of makes this time go so much faster than me just like sitting here talking to chat. Like chat's great, but like the fact that there's just one other person to play off of just makes it so much easier.
Definitely. And then, I mean, you talked about making sure to include the chat too. Like that's I guess what this guest star thing is, or that's what it's about. So we can make the audience feel extra important here, guys. Does anybody have a question they want to ask John Wick? I mean,
you guys are serious. Like like I've never been afraid of like hiding my identity, but I don't particularly like how I look, and I haven't been streaming as the puppet since I've been home. And like just because of my general disposition, getting out of a long-term relationship, like I haven't been thinking a whole lot of myself. So the fact that you've been gassing me up like this, like I really appreciate it. So thank you all.
Hey, I think you said that you don't like how you look. I think everyone's appearance is an acquired taste, or has the potential to be.
Definitely, we all see the worst, I think, in ourselves. So. How'd I like Washington State? I loved it. I didn't want to leave, particularly when I did. I wanted to have like another year there. But my mom was in a car accident. My parent, like the house I grew up in, has been in my was built in 1903. It's been in my family since 1908. And my brother didn't want it, and my parents are looking to move. So I really want to find a way to take over the responsibility of this place, and keep it in the family. So it just seemed like the right time to come home. Just because so many life changes had happened, and I was, as much as I liked my job at the arena, I didn't have the time to stream anymore because, like I said, 4 hours of my time was a commute because I was like living in the suburbs of Seattle and then commuting, like taking the freeway flyer down to Seattle, and it was fucking exhausting. And like, yeah, after 4 hours of your day is like wasted in transit, you're like, I just want to smoke a bowl and like watch a movie, because I'm a movie guy way more than a video game guy as well. Like I wish I could just be watching movies on Twitch with people like 24/7, like that aren't just public domain movies or the Amazon Prime thing. Like I've done bring your own movie nights where like I have a time code up on the screen, but yeah, it's just not the same. So but yeah, as far as like I recommend Washington State to anybody who loves nerd culture, and it really did give me such a great boost. Like in streaming, I helped start the Seattle Online Broadcasters Association, which is a community of streamers out there. Like I said, I'm all about community. I'm all about connecting people to make sure they do things together. The like I would hike at like the Twin Peaks waterfalls and stuff like that, and go to the Twin Peaks diner on the weekends. And then Nintendo was in the backyard. Like I said, I got to meet Gabe Newell because I got to tour Valve, because I met somebody at a bar after one of my improv shows that worked for Valve. And that's just like the kind of people. Valve's out there, Microsoft is out there, Nintendo is out there. Like it's such a nerd haven. That, and like being somebody who's non-binary as well, like now that I'm back here, it's like that's something that like is kind of weird to tell people, and I'm not sure how accepting they are. Like in Seattle, it's like, yeah, all right, like that's cool. Like it's just, I love the people out there. I love the city. I would wake up every day wishing it was raining, because that's just, I love the sound of rain hitting everything. So yeah, I love the environment. I can't recommend it enough. If it's a place you're thinking about visiting, definitely check out a PAX. Like some of my best memories are going to PAXs and doing PAX things, and just meeting people. It's not even about the event. It's about asking somebody like, well, what do you do? And then just having a conversation and going on an adventure. And yeah, those were some great times. So, any other questions?
No, yeah,
about the puppet or yeah.
Yeah, we want to definitely take some chat questions if there's any good ones. But I want to ask about some movies. You seen any good old movies lately?
Good old movies? I just showed my friend Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust, which is one of 2 animes about the character of D, who is a vampire hunter. And it's every frame of this movie looks like it could be an oil painting. It's just absolutely, it is a gorgeous, gorgeous movie.
It sounds familiar. I may need to check that one out. I love that kind of stuff, especially the way you're describing it, where every frame looks like an oil painting. Those are my favorite, because there's definitely some anime where you take a few of the frames out of it, and it's, what is this? What is this crap?
Well, especially because the second one, the first one came out in like 88, 89 or something, so it's very much like, they're still trying to figure out some of the animation techniques, or it's that very just like early stuff. And then like the second one came out in like 2001, and just like the leap between the two is just absolutely astonishing. And yeah, it's really hard to find. I had to buy the Blu-ray of it, because it's not on a single streaming service. Like you can't even rent it if you wanted to, which is why you should pirate things. I mean, what?
Arg, what did you say?
Arg? I mean, hey, they took away everybody's Discovery stuff, and I saw a great picture on Twitter that was, if you're just buying a license for something you technically own, then you can't steal it either. Right?
Hey, there you
go.
There you go. You can't steal it if you own it.
We were talking about Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust, Bobberton. So, yeah, there's 2 of them. It's actually based on a book series, and there's like 30 books. Like the guy started writing them in the 70s, and they didn't start coming out in English until like the mid 2000s. But it's not even manga. They're like straight up books. And I'm like, I got them all in a humble bundle. I'm like 5 books deep, and yeah, the universe is just this incredible fantasy, but like also sci-fi. It's like vampires took over and like advanced technology, and then realized that like the moon was a way cooler place to be, and then like fucked off to the moon after 5,000 years, and just like let humans like take over again. And so like now the vampires that are left are like, you're old, like we're gonna hire somebody to kill you. And like nobody respects vampires anymore. It's such a wonderfully like dystopian apocalyptic future kind of world. It's absolutely gorgeous. Thank you for all the follows, everybody.
Hey, no worries. Oh yeah, I forgot to do the shout out in the beginning. I forgot to do a couple of things. I'm new at this. Look.
Yeah, I'm BizSnes on Twitch. Yeah, BizSnes. So, yeah, 9 years in January. I'll be partnered 7 years in February. So, and that was because of movies, because of the Oscars. Because there was one year that they were allowing, you could co-stream the Oscars on Twitch, and it was originally the way that people thought it was only for partners, and so everybody was bitching like, oh, it's bullshit that this is for partners and blah 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 blah, and I yes-anded, and I was like, this is just one more reason for me to be working towards my partnership. And the head of partnerships at the time saw that, and we had talked at a PAX, earlier. And I had applied for partnership 3 times using his name on the thing. And I eventually thought it was hurting me instead of helping me, because I reached out to the head of Twitch's PR and I was like, hey, Anil, told me to do this, but he's not in. So I was hoping you might be able to put in a good word for me. And the guy's response was, I think that might be a little above Anil's pay grade. And it's like, okay, well, I wouldn't have done that if he didn't ask me to, but like he literally handed me his business card at PAX and was like, I look forward to working with you, apply for partnership. And then, I sent him a couple emails, but it was like always I got an automated response like, hey, I'm in Japan. Hey, I'm here. And he saw that tweet and was like, dude, like, why haven't you applied for partnership? And I'm like, I did. I actually just applied again. And he's like, what's your name? And I told him my name, and I got the email saying, congratulations, you're partnered. And that's how I got partnered on Twitch. So it's like every once in a while, just take the high road. Is always the advice that I will give people. Weed. So yeah. And I've always tried to be something different. Like I said, there was only one character streamer on Twitch before me, and that was a Shiba Inu face rig that was just like a basic face rig model that you could have, right? And that guy ended up being a piece of shit. So, there were a couple people that came like a couple months after me, but like I am one of the, if not like the original character streamer on Twitch. So, and like I watched those other people, kind of blow past me and like get a lot more recognition and stuff like that for it than like I ever did. And it's hard not to be bitter about that stuff, especially like when you try to work with some of them and then they find out they like actively like kept you out of things. But it's still not a reason. Like I've still had some wonderful experiences. Like I was on a team with, I don't know if anybody remembers Scribbly, but Scribbly was a talking TV on Twitch for a while, and he was just. He was so fucking cool and so fucking awesome, and we worked on this whole thing like guest star, like because we all wanted to stream together and do things together, but there wasn't any system for that at the time. So we like literally set up a server in our one friend's house because he had all this tech, and so we all streamed to him, and then he streamed out to everybody so that we could have all of the like cameras and all of the scenes in one place, and then pick what people could see and send it out so there wasn't any lag between what they saw, and we could all stream together. And we literally got like 3 streams deep, and then our friend with the server is like, I got my dream job at a video game company, I'm moving to Canada, like, see y'all. And yeah. And
Damn.
then yeah, like I said, I got hired, or I got picked as like one of 12 people to go to Twitch to do this hosting and interview workshop, to be trained in hosting and interviewing for all the conventions, which is like, because Twitch used to have a presence at every convention, like even Comic-Cons and stuff like that. And so like that's what I wanted to do, because that was the next step, like I said, I always wanted to do journalism and interviews and stuff like that. So it's like that was going to be my next step. Like, oh, they noticed me on Twitch. Now I can do this hosting and interviewing stuff. And so they literally flew me down to San Francisco, and I spent 2 days in their training program, and I became certified. And then 2 weeks later, they literally like laid off the people that trained me. and fired everybody from the staff and said, yeah, we're not doing conventions anymore. And it's like, all right. So, then I got a job at a used video game store for a while, and the plan was to stream from the store as well, because I know DS Koopa, who is a streamer in Washington as well. And I just thought it would be fun to stream from a used video game store, like Clerk style. And like, I kid you not, like the second day that I worked there, a producer from LA called the store and was like, hey, we're filming a TV show like American Pickers for video games. Would your store be interested in being a part of this? And I pitched the people who ran the store. I pitched myself, and these people from LA came out and filmed a pilot for a TV show with us, this Pink Gorilla place, and a couple other stores. And like I got my friend's comic book shop involved with it, because I know a wrestler out there that like also ran a comic book shop, and like I got all my friends involved, and like I got to go to this car museum and like sit in the Flintstones mobile from the John Goodman movie and like talk about its design and talk about it with the president of this car museum. And it came down to our show or a spinoff of American Pickers, and the spinoff of American Pickers won. So yeah, and that was like 2 years ago now. So I've gotten pretty close to the things that I've wanted to be doing, and I like doing Twitch, but I've never like wanted to be like, hey, like sub to me, because like I didn't want to feel like I was ever abandoning people, because I would see other people like get the jobs that I wanted and stuff like that, and it's like that's where I wanted my goal to be. So yeah, it has been a strange journey through it. So
There's a lot of ways to get there, so I think it's finding the right path. I mean, it sounds like you've had a lot of interesting opportunities or interesting things, especially that pilot that you were just mentioning.
Yeah.
Is that your ultimate, is to just be a part of like some sort of production show, or
I want to produce something. I want to direct something. I helped produce Metal Gear Solid Con, or MGS Con, Memes, Dreams, and Snakes Con. Don't want to get sued by Konami. But that was, like putting all of those puzzle pieces together, like getting all the voice actors together, getting all the artists together, making sure that, because it was both an online convention and an in-person convention. So, we had to make sure that the elements for both were good, because people paid to watch the online convention, and I didn't want people to feel like they got anything less. Like I wanted to make sure that they felt like they got a convention, like it was special for them too. So we had interviews that were exclusive for them as well. And so it really, like, it was honestly the first time in my life that I felt, because especially when you get out of a long relationship and so much in your life changes, and you like, I was doing really good at that other job and had to leave it, and you think like, have I wasted my life on this shit? And then I got to do something like Metal Gear Solid Con, where like literally every single thing that I've ever done in my life, whether it was the photography assistant or the stage crew stuff or the running of conventions in Washington, because I helped with a convention called Renton City Retro, or the Twitch stuff, because I literally had to figure out, because David Hayter, the voice of Solid Snake, couldn't be there in person, but he was willing to call in to the convention. So it was my job to figure out, how do I get it so the people on this panel with regular microphones can hear somebody on a Zoom call and also communicate with this person on a Zoom call. So I had to figure out how to route the sound from the soundboard into the computer, but then also out to the soundboard without feeding back, and so doing that,
not easy.
It definitely was not. Doing that, plus having to be the host of the online presence, plus having to put out all of the fires on the back end of this convention, doing this all in a single day. It was like the first time, and then seeing the results of it. Like, this was a first time convention, and we had people that ran other conventions be just blown away. They could not believe at the quality of this convention. And the fact that so many people walked away from it saying that this is a life-changing experience, like, and that's what it is. Like, I will never hate that I haven't gotten where I thought I should be in life, because life is all about the experiences that you have. And between the concerts I've been to and the friends that I've made and the things that I've gotten to do just being in this space, like, I've never been the biggest person, but like Rockstar Games is sending me a holiday care package this year. Like, I got Cyberpunk for free I got the collector's edition. Like I've gotten to go to E3. I was in the crowd when Keanu Reeves was like, "You're breathtaking," and your life is all about these experiences. And I am so grateful and I am so thankful, and I know that some people don't have the opportunities that I've had, and the fact that I've even been able to come this far and to do as much as I have been, like, all I can be is grateful for the experiences I have.
No, that's a good way to look at it. And I think those experiences can help you build towards like the next thing that you're working on. You always have some information to look back on. Is there anything that you're working on new, or any projects or content that you got in the works?
I'm just, like I said, I'm really putting all the things that I've been hemming and hawing about doing for my stream. Those are like, I've been back in Milwaukee for about 3 months now, and I really haven't been streaming because I've just, I've been trying to figure out like myself again, but like I've been putting off doing things for my stream and streamlining things. And so one of my very best friends that I've actually known since 6th grade at this point is like finally helping me on the back end and can just do a couple more things that like, yeah, I could do, but like he's willing to step into that producer role for me. And like, yeah, just having that extra person behind me, it just means the world to me. So we've really been working on figuring out like, okay, like I have, like this scene for SNES, and like he's made it now where like I can turn the lights on and off. So like when the lights are off, all of the little computer screens and stuff like that will still glow, and then I can hit a button and it's like a light switch, like the lights will like flicker on and stuff like that. And just make it feel more alive than just these static images of things, right? And so very much trying to capture that Mystery Science Theater vibe, and make things that, in an age where like AI art is becoming so prevalent, like I love building things. And so like I've literally, it takes up like 2 pieces of foam core now, but this outer scene here, I'll go grab it really quick and hopefully not break anything, but I'll go grab, but I've actually built the outside of this moon base. So 1 second here.
Okay. I'm on water number 2, chat. We opened our spare water. Sometimes you got to keep one in the inventory, but you got one out in your action bars ready to use at all times. I pulled out the inventory one because it was ready to go, but make sure you got water, guys. Make sure. It's very important.
All right, I honestly don't even know if you're going to be able to see all of it, but we'll give it a try. Let's see. Let's see. What can you see here? But, yeah, so...
Oh, nice.
So, yeah. So, hang on. I think I can turn on the lights. But, yeah, so, like, I love just building physical things. And yeah, so I would much rather spend like 6 hours doing this than like, yeah, sitting and playing a video game and stuff like that. But
there you go.
Yeah.
Identical.
Yeah, right. So, and it's foam core. Like it's literally foam core and a couple 3D printed things. So much better than AI. Exactly, Dumpling Doodle. So give me a second here and I'll
make it talk.
yeah, right. I probably could with the garage door. So.
I was thinking that once the... I was kidding. I'm totally kidding. Once the eyes lit up, I mean the porch lights or whatever.
Yeah, you could be like the host or something like that. And now your host, BizSnes. Yeah, I mean, I grew up loving Pee Wee Herman and Mystery Science Theater, and so I've always like wanted to kind of capture that vibe and an homage, if you will. So be right back.
I just thought of something crazy, like multiple camera angles, multiple puppets. You like cut to another one. You got to do all these different voices, but you could have like a crazy... It's a lot of lines you got to remember. Maybe you wrote them down, but You could do multiple characters. I'm just over here talking. I could do it. I'm gonna do puppets. No, I don't think I can because I tried once and my hand got tired. No, I had the foot pedal one. I can do feet. Feet powered. What's the buzzing? I think you know, we're just we're hanging out.
Okie dokie.
Okie dokie, we're back.
We are. But yeah, that's so like I'm eventually gonna film stuff with that, and like I want like spaceships to show up and satellites to show up and like asteroids like Armageddon style. Like I want chat to be able to stop asteroids from crashing into the Earth and stuff like that. And yeah, just try to make a game within a game and try to make the stream kind of a game. So
if you give it any Twitch chat the power to destroy the asteroids before they hit the Earth, are they gonna? Is that the one time they're like, I don't need to destroy the asteroids? Like, I
figured that's like when the stream would be over. It's like, oh, sorry, like stream's over.
Twitch chat in general is like the epitome of like fuck around and find out. Like they'll try, they'll see.
Velociraptors testing the fence, and they never test the same place twice.
There you go. Yeah, they're wild. They get out of hand. I don't know. Maybe it's just mine. No, I'm kidding. Oh man. So I'm nice and high, but I think I want to get even higher. Like I don't. You've been doing a decent amount of rips. I don't want to.
Oh yeah, please do. Wait, what explosions, Nate? My cousin's in the channel.
Something about
he said he was going to start
explosions?
streaming, and he keeps hearing random explosions.
Maybe about the asteroids.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Yeah.
I do that all the time where I'll be talking about a couple of subjects, or I'll read a couple of lines of chat. I'll ask the first person, like, what the fuck are you talking about? After I responded to the second person, like, oh, the first thing I just said. Like,
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, that is the worst thing. It's like every once in a while I'll be talking, and it's like, fuck, what are they even responding to? What did I say that they're responding to this way? Or they'll be like, oh, I love that movie. I was like, what fucking movie was I quoting? Like, I don't even remember. Like, it's so, like I would say that like if I wasn't a person, I would be like Oogie Boogie, but instead of like bugs, like pop culture references would just slither out of me if you cut open, which is in itself a pop culture reference. So take it as you will.
take it as you will. There you go. Oh,
but
man.
yeah, I've always loved movies and stuff like that. Grew up loving Star Wars, and always. I in kindergarten I drew a picture of me behind a camera filming Darth Vader. Like I didn't even want to be the person in front of the camera. Like from a very early age, like I wanted to be the person behind the camera making it happen. Yeah, and like that first making of video from Star Wars to Jedi, like when they show how the Jabba the Hutt puppet works. Like seeing stuff like that, like absolutely inspired me. And like, I was like, I want to make puppets and stuff like that. So
Have you done many other puppets?
no, I did one, like when Mystery Science Theater was like super popular, I made a puppet. Like it was out of like a wiffle ball thing and like a bleach container, and it wore like my old Return of the Jedi shirt that I had grown out of and stuff like that. There is, you talking about things that I've never done on stream so far back that this was a Mixer idea, and even it predates Mixer, but there was always supposed to be a Sega Genesis that was supposed to be like the rival of SNES that was going to have his own Twitch channel. And it was the Genesis Nemesis. It was Gene the Genesis, and so for a while it was going to be Mixer, right? Like the Sega was going to stream on Mixer, and I was going to stream on Twitch, and we would have like a fight, between them, just like Sega and Nintendo, and I thought that would be fun. And then like Mixer imploded, and yeah, you talk about like trying to get people to do stuff. I have built 2 different Sega puppets because it's like I can't be 2 puppets, like being one puppet is enough. Like I mean, could I potentially, but like I said, I've always wanted to stream with other people, and so I have sent it to I sent the puppets to 2 different people, and after receiving the puppets, they flaked on me and have not sent me the puppets back.
Damn.
Yeah, so
They got some cool ass puppets though.
for sure, yeah. The Gene looked angry. He was a very angry looking puppet. So
No, that sounds crazy. Yeah, I was just thinking about that. That would be interesting to just have multiple camera angles and cut to another puppet or something onto one show where you're just arguing back and forth. That would be a way to do it with the Sega Genesis and the
I
SNES.
wanted him to be just like a full-on bully, you know, like I wanted him to be a 90s high school bully, like the kind of person that would shove SNES into a locker, you know. Yeah, just that extreme, you know, that extreme attitude, you know, and just like odd couple our way like through co-op games, you know.
Yeah.
I thought it would be an absolute blast. So, and then I've thought about the Nintendo 64 kind of looks like a koala, so I always wanted it to be like a koala in a tree. And then I wanted the Dreamcast to be a ghost because I thought it was like gone before it. Like the Dreamcast still has a job to do. Like it was gone before its time, and it died too soon, kind of deal. I mean, before it was SNES. Yeah, it was gonna be a regular Nintendo, and like because I thought it would be easier to, you know, be able to move the slot up as opposed to the spring that's in the Super Nintendo. And then I was like looking at a Super Nintendo and I was like, oh my God, that is so much more of a face than a regular Nintendo.
It could be a lore video that you do with the regular NES. You just come up with something.
It started off as a YouTube series. It was going to be called Single Gamer, and my character was going to be, my parents won the lottery when I was young and bought me a Super Nintendo, and then went off traveling and then just never came back. And so like I just never left the house, and the Super Nintendo became like my best friend. And so like I would interact with like a mailman, you know, like Mr. McFeely style, and he would be like the one that would like bring me games, and we would talk about them a little bit, and then I would ultimately have the episode with the Super Nintendo on the couch to me because I like wanted to be able to like react to it, you know, because like I said, I got my shows not by being the funny one, but being able to react to the funny one. So I always felt like I would be the perfect person to ground the SNES, you know, and make it more believable because I treated it like a real person. There's a great Kermit the Frog TED Talk about the conspiracy of craziness, and you know, when you can get a group of people to believe something is true, not because they know it's true, just because they want it to be true. It's a fun thing, and that's, you know, what happens with the power of the Muppets and stuff like that. Like they know it's not real, but if you treat it like it is, it's just so much better that way. It's so much more fun that way.
Yeah. And I guess the step to do it, you have you considered ventriloquism at all with it? Where I'm so sorry, I don't know why I went there with it, but
yeah,
oh, man.
I definitely have thought about the ventriloquism.
I thought you were walking off as I'm insulted by the question. So
no, it is definitely, you know, like I said, it's so many ideas. It's hard for one person to do it. But I feel like with the beard, I'm like halfway there because I like it's 50%, right? You know, like I've already got half of it covered.
It seems like there's a lot of angles, I guess, especially if you can control with your foot.
But I mean, like I said, I have no ill will towards any character streamer on Twitch, but like the one thing that I always disliked was like, oh, you're like that talking cat, and it's like, no, I like predate that talking cat by quite a bit, actually, and you know, and so
that's
like
never gonna go away. People, they can't.
Thankfully, he went away. So, right, and it's hard getting compared to things, especially when they're like, especially the talking cat person was a particularly not
everything
nice
is
dude.
a comparison with like a typical person. Every game that comes out, it can't be a game. They have to instantly be able to compare it to. Well, what is this like? Oh, Lego Fortnite. This is like Minecraft, or you know,
like or as it has to be. and that's why I've always used like Mystery Science Theater, because like people get it right away instead of staring at me blankly when I'm like, I'm a puppet on Twitch, and but it's like, oh, have you watched Mystery Science Theater? Yeah. Oh, I do that with video games, like. So yeah, you got to that like or as, and yeah, it gets very boring that way. And so, I've been compared to a lot of things, Charles Manson, like I just said, but like, I'm not sure how much I want to be like, oh, you're like Jeff Dunham. Like that's really not a comparison. You're a puppet and a ventriloquist. Like, so you love Jeff Dunham, right? Like, hell fucking no, I do not.
Bust
like
out
that
the jalapeno.
What about Jesus? Man. Yes, I've heard Jesus. Without the beard, I get Eric Foreman from that '70s show, which is true because like the upstairs in the place that I grew up in was a haven, and it's in Wisconsin. And yeah, I had the friend group that just always was welcome. Like if I was up, the door was open, and you were just welcome. And yeah, Frodo from Lord of the Rings, I got all the time. For those of you of my generation, Joey McIntyre was like the first from New Kids on the Block, was the first person that I was really compared to in school. Yeah, so yeah, I've been told like I look like a lot of people over the years, especially with the long hair. Like I love having long hair.
They can't help it. You look people gotta compare everything to something.
Aaron Rodgers, like I am, 115 pounds soaking wet, and people are like, you look like Aaron Rodgers. It's like, yeah, maybe if you deflated him, like I am definitely not, football player size. That is for sure. So
yeah, that's what they're talking about. I guess I don't know. Maybe you see it in eyes and facial features and hair and stuff like.
The shorter hair, the more goatee kind of beard, apparently, I looked like hair. It, but yeah.
I think it might be facial. Does Aaron Rodgers have like a
He did, yeah.
Hair?
He had a beard for a while, yeah. That was very similar.
I get a lot of comparisons, and every time I look it up, it's just some white guy with a goatee, and I'm like, okay, but like, no, I don't. There's nothing else. Like, it's just he has the same. He's got this. Like, it's not. It's never. I'm never like, yeah, this guy kind of looks like me. There's a few maybe here and there, but every time it's a new name that I hear, I just look up. It's some white guy with a goatee, and I'm like, okay, I don't. Thanks.
Yeah. And like I didn't really start smoking weed until like I was a senior in high school, and it's just like everybody thought it like I just always had bags under my eyes anyways, and people are like, are you stoned? It's like, nope, I'm just tired, I guess. Yeah.
I've been playing games all night. Leave me alone. My eyes are red.
Right, exactly. So it's like, yeah, whatever. Like, compare me who you want, who you want. Like, I did have a really bitchin' mustache for a while. That was like, I got quite a bit of compliments on. It's fun, but like my beard just grows so fast that like I'm too lazy to maintain it, because it's like I will shave all this off, and by the morning I will like have to shave again if I don't want it to have like a 5 o'clock shadow. Like my hair just grows obscenely fast.
Yeah, that's annoying. I can't do that.
No, and it was so weird. Because like in my 20s, it was like super patchy, and then I was like, oh, I just needed to. I'll just like wait through that awkward phase of like having it grow in, and that was a fucking mistake. Because like once it all grew in, like I would go get straight razor shaves, and like I would hear them like clear a side of my face, and then they would go and work on the other side, and then they would come back to this side and do the same exact spot, and you could hear the difference like of the razor hitting hair again. It's like my straight razor shaves like always took like twice as long as other people's. Like I was told I had an 8.5-inch mohawk for my senior prom, and I was told my hair was like shearing a sheep. So yeah, my hair is quite thick.
Will you hold up an 8.5-inch mohawk with some glue?
$18 hairspray. It was called Blue, BLU. Yeah, or Jello. Yeah, Jello without putting the sugar in. Yeah, you can use Jello because it makes it really, really stiff. So,
does it add the color?
No, or it shouldn't.
Jello.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it threw me off. I'm like, that sounds like a strange hair product, but no, it's
Very
an
punk
actual
rock.
gel.
Yeah. So yeah, that was fun. Graduated from high school with the mortarboard like pinned directly to the side of the hair. It was awesome.
Oh, man. Ooh, and you said you didn't start smoking until like senior year in high school.
Yeah. Like, I mean, there was no like I had probably gotten high once or twice, but like, yeah, it wasn't until I was like a senior that I was like, you know what, I kind of like this. So, and then once I really got into with the improv company was when I became like a daily kind of stoner because we would literally, like, we would be sent out all over Wisconsin to do shows, and then we would, it would be like half hour 45-minute car ride there and then a half hour 45-minute car ride back. So I mean, just get stoned in the van on the way home. It was fun time. So yeah, it was good. It was great.
That's what vans are for, I'm pretty sure.
It was, yeah, with a bunch of comedians that are like trying to make each other laugh. Like, yeah, I definitely learned a lot about comedy from those trips as well. So
that's gotta be a good time.
It was, yeah.
Oh,
The company had been around for like 30 years at that point, and I had been seeing shows since I was a kid. And yeah, I started a team up at my high school, and by the time I was a senior, like I really it was so I had like the exact opposite high school experience of everyone else. Like I got so lucky. Like I said, I started off in a shitty high school, which is a completely different story. But I got to audition to this high school, and everybody had a major. You could be a creative writing major, you could be a theater major, you could be a dance major, you could be a vocal major, you could be a band major. Like whatever your art form was, you could be. And like we didn't have the problems of regular high schools. Like we didn't even have a football team. Like if you like football, they sent you to Pulaski to play football and stuff like that. So it literally was like everybody coming together to celebrate everybody's different cultures and different art forms and putting it all together. And it was such a beautiful experience. And I'm so sad that other people didn't have that high school experience because I got so lucky. And so I started this improv team up my junior year, and senior year, like me and my friend David, who, like I said, has been my friend since 6th grade, like we would do morning announcements. We wouldn't do the regular announcements. We would just do like a promo for the improv thing. And like, we would do one as like the Power Rangers. So it's like, like we need teenagers with attitude to come to the improv venue, on Saturday to help us against Goldar. Oh, get those teenagers, and we would sell out this theater as high school students. And so they offered me a job in high school. And my first job at this comedy club was I wasn't the valet parker, I was the ballet parker. So I literally wore a tutu and stopped every car that came into the parking lot and welcomed them to the place and then danced them to their parking spot. And I worked for tips, and like that was your first job, like that's where you like cut your teeth, and then you got to move up to host. So that's where like you started honing your characters and stuff like that, because you got to interact with people as they're going to their seats, and then slowly you would start doing shows. And I got to start doing shows there, and then I ended up taking over the high school league that I was a part of and ran that for many, many years. So it was an absolute blast, and I've always loved teaching. So it was always a fun thing to do.
So you're clearing like $1,000 a night doing this ballet?
Oh,
dancing,
totally.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Those Midwest tippers are very, very generous. So got a 20 every once in a while, but yeah, it kept me in skateboards through high school, which was good and a big part of who I was as well at the time. So
just trying to envision where you fit all that cash in the tutu, like, because you got the tights on. Like, it's so much cash.
There was a box inside with a weird pair of mannequin legs and a tutu sticking out of it, and they could put money in as they left. So like the good guys would like sometimes stand next to it and be like, "Bye, see you," so you could like guilt trip people into it. But yeah, I had some moves. Like I said, I was in 11 musicals back to back. total theater kid, total, nerd and stuff like that. So yeah, I knew how to dance and stuff. I started off as a vocal major at that school, because there weren't any openings in the theater department. Because I was like, fuck it, I'll sing. If it means that if I didn't have to go to the high school I was at, which was an absolute, it was that nightmare high school, like kids getting beaten up every lunch period and stuff like that. It was featured on like Dateline for being like one of the worst schools in the country. And I got it. So I auditioned to this. I auditioned to the. Yeah, if you want to hear the crazy story, I was doing musicals at just like a youth theater, and I was complaining about how I fucking hated this school because like my social studies teacher literally handed out money based on who was going to football games, or not handed out money, but he would hand out homework based on who was going to football games. And if you went to the football game, you'd do less homework. So I was like, this fucking sucks. Like, I hate this. And they're like, well, why don't you go to Milwaukee High School of the Arts? And I'm like, I don't even know what that is. And so they explained it to me, and I was like, oh my God, like, how did I not know this was a school? And so I wanted to be a part of the theater program, but there weren't any spots. Like I said, it's a very small school, and like through the choreographer of the youth theater, I was able to get an audition for the vocal department. And like I said, I was like, fuck it, I'll sing, whatever. And so we picked a song that worked for my voice. Like, I didn't take anything else into account. Like, I didn't care about what the song was about. I was just like, all right, I know this kind of works for my voice. And that song was America the Beautiful. And my audition date for this high school was September 11th, 2001. So I woke up to my mom saying, hey, it's time for your audition. Also, a plane just hit the World Trade Center. To which I responded, well, where were they going? Because, like, I wasn't thinking, like, passenger plane. I was thinking, like, sightseeing Cessna. And so, like, I was actually watching TV, like, when the second plane hit. And then I go to this audition for this school, and I'm singing this fucking song about America in an empty music room with just like the director of the music program of this school. And, it was just absolutely wild. And I knew I had made the right decision to go to that school right away because I heard that principal's announcement, and he was like, hey, just so you know, like, nobody quite knows what's going on right now. If you want to go home, you can go home. Just please let us know because we want to make sure that you're safe. If you want to stay here and talk to us, like, feel free, but just know that none of us really know what's going on right now. And I thought that was such like an adult way to talk to your students that like I couldn't believe it. I was like taken aback by it. And so then I have to go to the old high school to like drop off my books and fill out the paperwork. And it's like, do not leave your classrooms, not even for lunch. Any kid found in the hallway will be immediately suspended. And it's like, dude, these kids are like scared enough already. And you're like treating them like they're inmates, which I mean, they did all the time. Like the school would literally go on lockdown, where people weren't allowed to leave their classrooms because the fighting would get so bad. But it's like, yeah, that was the start of my high school experience. And then I had to go to a funeral after that. So it's like, what a just absolutely surreal day. But yeah, definitely a life-changing day for me in many ways. But yeah, I would not have been the same without finding that high school, because there's no way I would have finished high school without that theater keeping me there, because I was just so bored with regular classes.
Yeah. No, that's really interesting, man. That's a pretty interesting story. I was very surprised. So
yeah, I like to say the America the Beautiful part before getting to 9/11, because people know immediately, like, but it's like, yeah, it was surreal.
That is very interesting. Well, I think this might be a good spot to wrap it up here, and we can hop on some Lethal Company in just a little bit if you're ready. Do you want to just give everybody a little outro, say where they can find you, what you might be up to in the future that they might want to tune into? Or
Yeah, I'm gonna be making Twitch my full-time thing again. Once again, I stream as BizSnes on Twitch, and it's the same on Twitter if you want to find me there. And yeah, if you like Metal Gear Solid, if you like retro games, if you like video game history, I am a video game historian as well. I love teaching people about the history of video games. So if that's anything that interests you, come check it out. And yeah. MGS Con 2 will be happening. We'll be announcing the Kickstarter for the second year shortly, as well as the dates for that, as well as some pretty big surprises. So if you like older video games, please check me out. Thank you so much for getting stoned with me tonight, everybody.
Hey, no, appreciate you chilling. And yeah, man, it was a very good chat. Very good to have you on.
Anytime.
Hey, no worries.
Like I said, collaboration is key. So anytime you want to do anything like this, I'm always happy to have a conversation. So yeah, and don't give up. Never give up. Never surrender, because you never know. Like Harrison Ford was like in his late 30s when he got his first movie role. So like just keep swinging, and you'll never know what happens. So
You're well on your way, chat. Well on your way.